Bulls dressed 12 guys last night. Tom Thibodeau used every single one of them. The result? His team built up a huge lead, held onto it en route to a 101-78 pacing of the depleted Mavs, who were without Dirk Nowitzki. The Bulls reserve combined for a season-high 50, including 14 from Nate Robinson, 13 from Jimmy Butler. So, KC, is this a one-time thing, or will Thibs spread out the minutes for the rest of the season?
Well, I thought he made it pretty clear after the game that he detailed his philosophy pretty clearly, that playing time is based on performance. So he's obviously going to stick to his guns and stick to his plan. That said, I do think that you're going to see the reserves out there a little bit more.
Okay, did he send a message to management Monday night?
I don't think he sent a message to management. I think he just was maybe, I don't know. I don't think there was a message sent. I think he's telling the bench players, like, you gotta play better, you gotta practice better.
But how do you sit there and I coached, you stand there, you go, okay, we blew the lead 27 down to 20. We're okay, down to 15, we're okay. At some point you go, okay, enough. We've blown 15 of a 27 point, you're out. I'm bringing someone else in, I can't do any worse. He just did nothing.
Well, he didn't play the bench much in the second half. There's no denying that. He played in 10 minutes and 23 seconds. I've been one who's stayed mostly away from the minutes debate because Luol Deng's proven he can handle playing 40 minutes a night. Look, starters play 38 to 40 minutes a night in this league. That's just the reality of the situation. That said, Monday night he definitely went to too short of a rotation, and he changed it the next night.
It just seems to me the bench hasn't been very good.
No, that's the other thing, is the bench hasn't been very good. So.
I'm just not sure what you want to do at that point. You know, I'm sure he's sitting there thinking this may get worse if I go to the bench. At some point, these guys are going to stop it, and it just didn't stop. You know, you do wonder though, after last year, the bench mob being the whole story. There's got to be a bit of a spotlight on Gar Forman and Pax right now. Did you really screw this up? I mean, how bad is this bench?
Well, I think it's pretty clear that they. I mean, from anybody who knows the game of basketball, it's pretty clear that this bench is not as good as last year's, and they did it for long-term planning. They took Gar made the misfortunate or unfortunate comment of saying we're going to make basketball decisions, not financial decisions, on draft night. They made financial decisions. I mean, it's clear.
There's no question.
Yeah, it's clear. So the bench is not as good. That said, you do need to use the bench a little bit more, and Tom did last night. I think that Monday night thing was probably a one-game blip.
Is there room for growth with the bench, or is this pretty much what we have? I mean, they've been playing together very long.
And Luol, I thought Luol Deng showed remarkable leadership Tuesday after practice, where he stepped up and said, look, you know, that bench mob is gone. Give this bench, this new bench, whatever, I don't have a nickname for these guys, but give these new reserves time to gel and play together and learn Tom's system.
The bench group.
Stench mob.
Yeah, whatever.
You know, the old bench has been romanticized quite a bit, and both Tom and Luol said that. I mean, at the start of that first Tom season, 10-11, you know, C.J. Watson, people were saying, like, this guy's terrible. You know, Ronnie Brewer, people were saying he can't make a jump shot. So, you know, they definitely grew into a cohesive unit. That said, this group is not going to be as good as that group. That is the bottom line. They only have 1 year to play together, and they're just not as good of players. Okay. But you do need to give this bench a little bit more time.
Why does it look like when Thibs was at the Springsteen concert, they went out and signed like 5 guys I got who? It just looks like he wasn't even consulted.
But here's the deal. When you make the decision to sign minimum salary players, which they did,
it is what it is.
Who are you going to get? You're not going to get any difference makers. They made the decision to let all the core go because Derek blew out his knee. They're still over the luxury tax. Now they can get under it by season's end, but they're still over the luxury tax. They're just not as deep into it as if they had brought all those guys back. So they made the commitment to write off this season. You know, they're not going to come out and say that, but they made the commitment to have a treading water season with Derek out and sign minimum salary players. So who you think when they signed Vladimir Radmanovic, they were saying to themselves, "Oh yeah, we got a championship this year."
Doesn't seem like everybody kind of on board with that when they say, "Okay, we're going to let the season go because we don't have Derek. You know, we're gonna build for the future." And everybody's like, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm board with that." But then once you get into the season, and you start playing games, people are like, "What are you doing? Why didn't you sign these guys?" So I think that people need to step back and realize that this was kind of the plan the whole time.
Well, and you know, it's the classic contrast of, you know, the front office planning for long-term stuff and the coaching staff wanting to win every game. That's a clash that happens in sports ad nauseum.
But didn't they also, and not that Thibs was ever going anywhere, but didn't this bench get put together before he got the contract extension?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, again, I don't think he was going anywhere, but maybe at that point they weren't communicating as much as they should. There were other things going on. And let's face it, I mean, it's still Taj Gibson's the first guy off the bench, and I kind of like Nate Robinson. I realize he may not play a lot of defense, but I like him. You know, and Jimmy Butler was always going to be there. So,
and Butler has taken a step.
Yeah.
I mean, the last 4 or 5 games, Jimmy's really started to play well, and you know, he was sold as the guy who could replace Ronnie Brewer, and he's not quite at Ronnie Brewer's level, but he's certainly playing well the last 3 or 4 games.